Let me tell you something, this noisy world will never teach you. Silence is not a sign of weakness. It is the mark of someone who knows where their strength comes from. In a culture where everyone is trying to speak louder, prove more, and be noticed at any cost, I want to talk to you about something deeper. The strength that does not need applause. The power that does not panic. The faith that does not flinch. I have met people who carry so much grace, so much clarity, and yet they speak so little. Why? Because they no longer need the noise. They no longer need to defend their every move, explain their every decision, or chase after the approval of those who were never meant to define their worth. When your identity is rooted in Christ, not in likes, not in recognition, but in the unshakable love of God, your soul begins to rest. You do not react to everything. You do not fight every battle. You do not prove yourself to those who never really saw you in the first place. You walk with purpose. You move in peace. And yes, you stay silent when noise only leads to distraction. I once sat with a man who had been wronged, slandered, misunderstood. He looked me in the eye and said, "I do not need to fight them. God will speak for me." That was not pride. That was trust. And that trust became his strength. The world says, raise your voice. But the Spirit says, raise your faith. The world says, clap back. But the Word says, be still and know. The world says, make them understand. But God says, I will make a table for you in the presence of your enemies. That is why I tell you today, you are not weak when you stay silent. You are focused. You are grounded. You are saying to the world, my peace is too precious to waste on noise. And more than that, you are saying to God, I trust you more than I trust my emotions. That kind of silence is not emptiness. It is full of faith. It is full of confidence. It is full of heaven's assurance. And it is in that silence where God does his best work. So do not confuse quiet with retreat. It might just be the beginning of a breakthrough. You do not need to shout when you carry truth. You do not need to explain when you walk in obedience. And you do not need to chase what is already assigned to you. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Let the noise fall away. Let your stillness become your statement. The world may not understand it, but heaven says it. And heaven always responds to faith wrapped in silence. There is a question I want to ask you today, not to pressure you, but to help you pause and search your heart. Are you fighting battles that God never asked you to fight? Are you using your voice in places where silence would be more powerful? I say this with love because I have seen it too often. We exhaust ourselves proving points that do not need to be proven. We argue with people who do not want truth, only reaction. We waste our peace on battles that have nothing to do with our call, and slowly we begin to drift. We lose focus. We lose strength. Not because we are weak, but because we are distracted. Friend, not every voice deserves your answer. Not every criticism deserves your energy. And not every fight deserves your attention. Some things are just traps, set to pull you away from the purpose God gave you. And the longer you stay in those battles, the further you get from your peace. I want to ask you today, are you ready to stop fighting what is not yours? Are you ready to shift your focus from trying to be understood to simply walking in obedience? Are you ready to let God be your defender instead of using your words to do what only heaven can accomplish. If that's you, if your heart is saying yes, even before your mind can catch up, then let me know. Not for numbers, not for applause, but simply to know I am not speaking into silence. Just type tôi sẵn sàng or even comment the number mote. That is enough. Enough to say, I am here, I am listening, I am ready. It means more than you know to those of us who pour out these words, hoping they find the heart they were meant for. Because when even one heart says yes to change, heaven rejoices. You see, I once believed that every time someone misunderstood me, I had to clarify. Every time someone doubted me, I had to prove. But the more I walked with God, the more I learned that strength is not in how loud you speak, but in how clearly you live. When your focus is anchored in God, your silence becomes a shield. It becomes a statement. You no longer need to defend what God has already spoken over your life. And when you choose not to answer the enemy's noise, when you hold your peace instead of spending it, that is where you win. Because the strongest voices in the kingdom are not always the ones who shout. They are the ones who remain steady, grounded, and faithful. The ones who say, I do not need to be heard, I need to be aligned. So today, if you are ready to stop explaining yourself to those who were never meant to understand you, then say it. Say it not for me, but for you. Because the moment you stop wasting energy on noise is the moment you step into the clarity God has been waiting to give you. Stay silent, stay focused, and watch what happens. When Jesus stood before his accusers, he did not speak to defend himself. He did not raise his voice to fight falsehood. He stood in silence, not because he lacked power, but because he trusted the truth to stand on its own. That is not weakness. That is authority under control. That is what real strength looks like when it is not trying to prove anything to anyone. I tell you this because there will be moments in your life when people will misunderstand you. They will misjudge your motives, question your intentions, and twist your silence into arrogance. But silence is not retreat. It is not surrender. It is not hiding. It is a posture of confidence that says, I do not need to respond because I know who I am. You do not need to chase explanations when your identity is secure. You do not need to react when you are grounded in purpose. There are times when you must stand in silence, not to be passive, but to let the voice of God speak louder than your own. When you trust that God sees, hears, and vindicates, you stop wasting words on those who were never meant to carry your truth. There is a quiet dignity in walking forward while others talk behind you. It does not mean you are cold. It means you are committed to something greater. Jesus knew the power of restraint. He chose silence not because he had nothing to say, but because he had nothing to prove. Can you do the same? Can you stay calm while being criticized? Can you stay focused while being pulled in every direction? Can you stay silent, not out of fear, but out of wisdom? The enemy knows how to bait your ego. He wants you to engage in battles that are beneath your assignment. He wants you to trade your peace for a moment of pride. But God is calling you higher. He is calling you to respond less and trust more. He is calling you to be like Christ, who in the face of pressure held his ground with unshakable peace. That kind of silence is not empty. It is full of faith. It is a declaration that says, I do not need to win the argument because I am already walking in victory. So the next time someone questions your silence, let your life answer. Let your consistency speak. Let your peace be the loudest thing in the room. Because when God is your defender, you do not need a defense. And when you know you are walking in His will, you do not need to shout it. Just walk. Just live. Just trust. And let the silence become the sound of power. I want to speak to those who feel hidden right now, who feel like they are doing the right things, but nobody sees it. You are faithful, but unnoticed. You are growing, but it feels like you are underground. Let me tell you what I have seen in the lives of those God chooses to raise up. Before God brings you into the light, He always works on you in the dark. He always separates before He elevates. It is never a punishment. It is preparation. Like a seed in the soil, there must be breaking before there is blooming. That breaking is not the end of you. It is the forming of you, the silence you feel right now. The isolation that surrounds you might just be the soil where your roots are taking hold. And I want to ask you, are you willing to be buried for a season so that you can grow in the right direction? Are you willing to let God shape you in private before He reveals you in public? Many want the fruit, but few are willing to stay in the ground long enough for roots to form. But if your roots are not deep, your rise will not last. This is not a season to panic. It is a season to surrender. It is not a time to be loud. It is a time to be still. Do not rush your process. God is doing more in you than you can see. And when the time is right, what He planted in secret will bear fruit in the open. That is how God works. Quietly, deeply, faithfully. And I want to know, is this speaking to you today? If it is, let me see you. Type Toy Song or simply comment the number 1. So I know this seed of truth has found good soil. You do not have to write much, just one word, one sign, and I will know you are here. You are receiving, and you are letting this word take root. There are many who gave up in the silence, many who walked away because the spotlight did not come quick enough, but not you. You are still here. You are still listening. You are still pressing in, and heaven sees that God is not done with you. He is just beginning, so stay grounded. Stay buried if you must. Because something beautiful is growing where nobody else is looking. I have seen this again and again, and I tell you, the growth that happens in silence is the most sacred of all. It is not loud, but it is lasting. So let them wonder where you are. Let them question your absence. They may not see what God is doing, but one day they will see what God has done. Stay faithful. Stay planted. Your season of fruit is coming. Not everyone is meant to walk with you where God is leading you. Some people were only assigned to a past chapter, not the one you are stepping into. One of the biggest mistakes we make is thinking that closeness means calling. Just because someone was there when you were broken does not mean they are equipped to walk with you into your breakthrough. Just because they knew the old you does not mean they can handle the new you. And if you are not careful, you will carry people into places that require more faith than they are willing to live by. You will share visions with those who cannot see and give access to people who only know how to subtract. God is trying to build something sacred in you. But sacred things require protection. When God gives you a word, a dream, a direction, it is not for public opinion. It is not for debate. It is something holy. And holy things are not meant to be exposed to everyone. Sometimes silence is the only way to protect what God is doing. You do not have to explain your steps. You do not need to validate your progress. You are not being distant. You are being obedient. There will be seasons where God strips your circle, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Élévation demande séparation. When God calls you higher, He also calls you deeper, and not everyone wants to go deep. Some prefer comfort. Some prefer the familiar. Some prefer you staying the same. But the Spirit of God is not calling you to stay the same. He is calling you to grow, to rise, to build. And you cannot build while constantly explaining your blueprint to those who do not believe in the foundation. Protect the vision, guard the process. Not with pride, but with wisdom. You are not rejecting people. You are protecting purpose. There is a weight to the calling God placed on your life, and that weight cannot be shared with those who do not carry the same oil. If they do not carry the oil, they cannot carry the weight. You must stop expecting support from people who are not assigned to your destiny. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. When God begins to move in your life, your steps may not make sense to everyone, but they were not given your assignment. You were. And your obedience matters more than their approval. Keep your vision pure. Keep your spirit clear. Silence is not hiding. Silence is building. And the most powerful moments of your journey may happen when no one is watching, because when you stop looking for agreement and start walking in alignment, you begin to live in the power God always intended for you. Let the noise fall behind. Let the purpose go ahead. You are not walking alone. You are walking with God. And that is enough. Peace does not begin when everything around you calms down. Peace begins when you stop expecting the world to fix what only God can heal. You can rearrange the furniture of your life, change the job, change the city, even change the people around you. But if your soul is still in conflict, nothing changes. True peace is not something you chase. It is something you choose. And you do not find it by controlling everything. You find it when you surrender everything. There is a kind of calm that does not come from vacations or money or applause. It comes from knowing who you are and who holds your life. The world will keep shouting, "You are not enough. You are behind. You are missing out." And if you believe that voice, you will live in a state of constant anxiety, always looking over your shoulder, always afraid you missed your moment. But God is not in the voice of panic. He speaks through peace. He guides through stillness. You will never hear His voice clearly if your heart is always reacting to everything around you. That is why silence is not just quiet. It is warfare. It is where you say to your soul, "Be still." God is in control. And when your soul learns to be still, your life begins to move forward. Not because you push harder, but because you trust deeper. You stop comparing your path to someone else's. You stop chasing things that never had your name on them. You stop looking at the world for answers it was never designed to give. And you begin to rest, not because everything is perfect, but because your foundation is secure. The peace of God does not require the absence of pressure. It only requires the presence of trust. And when you walk in that peace, you do not need people to understand you. You do not need results to prove you are progressing. You do not need the environment to be ideal. You just need alignment. When your soul aligns with the Word of God, peace follows. Not peace that comes and goes, but peace that holds you in storms, peace that steadies you when things fall apart, peace that stays, even when answers are delayed. I tell you, the most powerful person is not the loudest one. It is the one who can walk through fire with calm in their eye. And that calm does not come from pretending. It comes from knowing that God is for you, knowing that your future is secure, knowing that even in silence, He is working. So if you are searching for peace, do not look around. Look within. Ask yourself, have I anchored my soul in the only place that never shakes? Because once your peace is rooted in God, nothing can take it away. Not criticism, not loss, not delay, not confusion. Your peace becomes a weapon, and silence becomes your song. Keep that peace. Guard it like treasure, and let it lead you forward. Have you ever felt like your silence is misunderstood? Like people look at you and think you are distant or cold, when in truth, you are just focused? I know that feeling, and I want to tell you, it is not something to apologize for. There comes a time when silence is not avoidance, it is obedience. You are not ignoring people. You are ignoring distraction. You are not being quiet out of fear. You are choosing to protect your peace. But let me ask you this. Are you willing to let go of the need to be constantly understood so you can finally be aligned with your purpose? Are you willing to step back from the noise and step into the deeper work God is doing within you? If your answer is yes, if something in your heart is stirring even now, I want to invite you to show it. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but to simply let me know that you are here, that you are listening, and that something inside of you is shifting. Just type "tôi sẵn sàng" or comment the number "moat." That is enough to say, I am ready to stop explaining and start becoming. I want you to know, as I speak these words, I feel the weight of those who are tired of always being accessible, tired of needing to respond, tired of giving answers to questions that were never asked in love. There is a reason God calls us into the secret place, because in that place, He reveals things that noise could never uncover. In that place, He builds something in you that applause can never sustain. And sometimes, the only way to protect what He is building is to stay quiet. Let the silence grow you. Let it heal you. Let it teach you how to walk into rooms with peace, not performance. You do not have to speak for people to feel your presence. You do not have to prove anything to be valid. Your fruit will speak. Your peace will speak. Your consistency will speak. And when it does, it will be louder than your defense ever could. So, to the one listening who feels misunderstood, I want you to know this. You are not alone. This message is for you. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not overlooked. You are being protected. And if you feel that shift in your heart, if you sense that God is calling you into something deeper, something quieter, something stronger, then say so. Even if it is just one word, one number, it tells me I am not just speaking into a screen. It tells me there is someone on the other side who wants more than noise. Someone who is choosing alignment over applause. And I thank God for you, because it takes courage to go silent when the world tells you to speak. It takes strength to be still when everything says to move. But that strength is growing in you. Right now, right here. Keep walking. Keep listening. Your silence is not empty. It is holy ground. What if the silence you are trying to escape is the very place God chose to speak to you? What if the season that feels empty is the one where heaven is working deepest? You see, we often measure progress by movement, success by noise, growth by recognition. But God does not measure like we do. He develops in secret. He shapes in stillness. He strengthens in silence. And maybe the reason you feel stuck is not because you are failing, but because God is refining. He is slowing you down so He can build you up. He is clearing the noise so you can finally hear. And I want to say this clearly. Do not rush through the quiet seasons. That stillness is sacred. That space where no one claps, no one asks, no one notices. That is where God is carving out the foundation for what is coming. You are not being delayed. You are being made ready. Ready for a weight you could not carry last year. Ready for a calling that cannot be fulfilled in distraction. Ready for a blessing that demands maturity. And if you let Him finish what He started in you, you will look back and say, that silent season was the turning point. That was where the fear died. That was where the striving stopped. That was where I finally learned that I do not need a spotlight to be valuable. I need obedience. I need alignment. I need to walk with God, even if no one is watching, because when the time comes, and it will, your life will speak for itself. Your peace will be louder than the storm. Your character will carry the message, and your story will not need an explanation. So let them say what they want. Let them misunderstand. Let them fall away if they must. You are not losing people. You are making space for clarity. And when clarity comes, peace follows. You begin to walk differently. You begin to speak with less effort and more weight. You begin to stand not because of who is around you, but because of who is within you. The world may never applaud your silence, but heaven sees it as worship. The angels do not move because of volume. They move because of faith. And faith often sounds like nothing at all. Just trust, just stillness, just surrender. And that is where your power is. That is where your next chapter begins, right there in the silence. So I tell you, do not despise this season. Do not fight to escape it. Stay in it. Let it shape you. Let it strip away everything that does not belong. Let it remind you that real strength does not come from noise. It comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. If this word is for you, then take it into the next moment. Carry it with you into the night. Bring it back in the morning. And when you feel like running, let it anchor you again. Because God is not finished. In fact, He is just getting started. What comes next will not require a louder voice. It will require a deeper surrender, and in that surrender, you will find what you have been searching for. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay silent. And watch what happens. I will meet you in the next message. You are not alone. You are being prepared. And when the silence ends, the glory will speak.